Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
The Blue Jays ready to open up a 3-game series against their division rivals, the Boston Red Sox, here at Fenway. A day game because it's the Memorial Day holiday here in the United States. And here's a look at the starting lineup that John Gibbons has penciled in there today. Josh Donaldson has had a lot of success in his time here at Fenway Park. 14 extra base hits in 33 games. And down at the bottom of the order, Buck, improvement for Devin Travis, getting a chance to play. Had a big hit yesterday in Philadelphia.
Yeah, 3-game little mini hit streak, and now they'll face their former teammate David Price, who's had a terrific run against the Blue Jays. 18-3 for his career against the Jays. This is the 11th start of the season. He's coming off 3 good starts in a row.
Teoscar Hernandez leads off. He's the right fielder this afternoon, as he takes a little bit upstairs. Ball 1, says Jordan Baker, the home plate umpire. It'll be Hernandez, Josh Donaldson, and then Justin Smoke, the top third of the order for the Blue Jays here on this cloudy afternoon in Boston, with the lights on and sure to stay on as the game begins. Bit of a cool day too. It does not feel like the end of May right now. Tomorrow's supposed to be much different. Sunny, hot, night game tomorrow, then a day game Wednesday before the Blue Jays head off to Detroit. Red Sox come in having won 2 of 3 from Atlanta over the weekend, as Hernandez skies one in the middle of the infield. And who's going to take charge? It'll be Nunez, the second baseman, who will make the catch. He and Bogarts, neither one of them really actively went after that ball right at the beginning.
Yeah, they were both looking at one another to say who was going to catch it, and Nunez had to make kind of an awkward catch. Take a look at the rest of the defense for Boston. And in the outfield, you'll notice Brock Holt starting in the outfield. Mookie Betts is not starting. This is the first start for Holt in right field. He's their super utility player. He plays all over the diamond, mostly on the infield, but he's out in right field. Mookie Betts got a little bit of a side issue, so he did not play yesterday, and he is out of the game again today.
Here's Josh Donaldson. 228, 5 homers on the season, 4 for 21 in his career against his former teammate David Price. No breeze to speak of at all here in Boston on this cool day, and the crowd still filing in here for this early afternoon start. The left-hander, the 0-1, misses just off the outside corner, a ball and a strike.
I mentioned Price has had 3 good starts in a row, and it began facing the Blue Jays at Rogers Center. Then he faced Baltimore and Tampa Bay down in St. Pete over those 3 games. 20 in the 3rd innings, just 13 hits. And a terrific job lately of throwing a lot of strikes.
And there's one right at the knees, 1-2. David Price, the fewest pitches per batter faced this season. Very efficient, 3.5 pitches per batter. And it doesn't sound like a lot if you're 3.5 or if you're 4, but it adds up. It'll cost you an inning or so, maybe more than that, if you're good or if you're average. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and down in the dirt, 2-2 now on Donaldson.
Yeah, and in his last start, the most pitches he threw in any one inning, 19 pitches. He did that twice in his outing last time out at Tampa Bay. But his velocity's down a bit. He doesn't pitch as deep into the games as he did when he first came up. He won a Cy Young Award in 2012. He was with Tampa Bay and went 20-5 and had a .256 earned run average during that Cy Young season.
Still got enough, though, to be a successful starting pitcher in the big leagues?
No question about it, because he has fastball command.
And there's a ground ball that's going to find a hole on the left side. Donaldson aboard with a base hit with 1 out here in the 1st.
And talk about David Price, and yeah, his velocity has dropped a bit, but he's always good at throwing strikes. And you mentioned how few pitches he uses to face each hitter. But he's going to throw the majority of fastballs, and most of these fastballs will be 2-seam fastballs. That sinker. Then he'll throw the cutter. Basically, that's another form of a fastball. Changeup he throws a little bit more frequently than he did early. But early in his career, he threw 96, 97. Once in a while, he'll throw that elevated 4-seamer, and he'll drop a curveball in there from time to time, but not very often.
1 on, 1 out, and here's the first baseman, Justin Smoke, who's 3 for 14 with a home run in his career against Price. And he'll look at a first pitch strike. Smoke will step out, adjust the batting gloves a little bit. Blue Jays looking to get off to a quick start here today after taking 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia. Their first series win in their last 8 series. They're now 25 and 28. The Red Sox have the best record in baseball at 36 and 17. Although a lot of that was built early when they started the year 17 and 2, 19 and 15 since then under first-year manager Alex Cora. The Blue Jays won't see Chris Sale in this series. He pitched and lost yesterday to Atlanta. They'll see Price, Rick Porcello, and Eduardo Rodriguez. 1-1 on the way, and good action on that ball in under the hands of Smoke. That cutter there, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, Smoke hit a home run off Price the last time these two faced each other in Toronto. It was a leadoff home run in the bottom of the 6th. But the Blue Jays lost that game. Price was matched up against Marco Estrada in that start. Boston scored 3 runs in the 3rd. Never really trailed.
This is the Blue Jays' first visit of the season to Fenway Park. They'll have 3 series here, of course, as a division rival. The next one in July and then one in September as well. Donaldson the lead at first, being held on by Moreland. The set by Price, and the 1-2 to Smoke is fouled back.
Again, Price throws so many balls in the strike zone that you always have to think about swinging, and with that you'll get some guys to extend out over the plate like Smoke did on the last pitch. But he had some issues early in his season this year. He had some tingling sensation in his hand. He left to start early, but the last few games he's looked like vintage David Price.
2-2, and some of that, and he talked about it a little bit, and who knows how much of this can be attributed to that, was playing a video game called Fortnite. That is all the rage these days, and there was some talk that he developed some carpal tunnel syndrome because of an excessive amount of playing that video game, and he apparently has backed off on that, and as you say, has not had those symptoms the last couple of times out. The 2-2, and a swing and a miss. He gets Smoke, 2 down.
Talk about elevating the fastball from time to time, and that's what Smoke chases here. And David Price uses that four-seam fastball top of the zone, and they try to go downstairs, but you can see it's upstairs, and he missed his spot, but it's still an effective pitch right on the outside corner, about a letter high to Smoke. That's a four-seam fastball, carries right on through the top of the zone.
So with 2 down, here's the cleanup hitter, Yangervis Solarte, making his 2nd consecutive start at shortstop, hitting .267 with the club leading 11 home runs. Donaldson the lead in the first pitch, line back to the mound, knocked down by Price. Must have gotten his glove up on that one to defend himself, and he'll make the play to end the inning. Man, that was a bullet right back to the mound, and Price did well to avoid injury and then to make a play on that ball. Take a look at it as we go to break as Aaron Sanchez gets set to come to the mound. You can't hit it much harder than Solarte did, but Price up to the task. And that's what he is right now in his first year with the Boston Red Sox. Here's the lineup that he sends out there right now. One of his hot hitters is Andrew Benintendi. As you can see, some very big numbers recently. He is leading off, and what a pickup J.D. Martinez has been for the Red Sox this year as a free agent. Big power numbers.
11 home runs in the month of May, and they're set to take on Aaron Sanchez. And Sanchez matched up against David Price the final game of the 2016 season, and he pitched a terrific game that time. This season hasn't gone so well for him early on. This is his 11th start of the season, and that's going to be a key to his success, his ability to throw first pitch strikes to this Boston lineup.
2 years ago, the ERA champ in the American League, and that was his best year in terms of command. And not a coincidence that his best results came in the year when he threw the highest percentage of strikes.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be very important for him today. And you mentioned Benintendi. He's hot over his last 14 games. He's hit nearly 400.
1-1 is at the knees with a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-2 now on Benintendi.
Those are two quality strikes, and Aaron will be trying to repeat that. He had a good side session in Philadelphia a couple days ago. He was very upbeat about that. He and Pete Walker, Dane Johnson all were very pleased with that side session. And there's the curveball. That's been a subject of a lot of discussion by the fans as to whether or not Sanchez can throw that curveball, with the concern about the blister he had issues with last year. I spoke to him yesterday. He said it's not an issue. He said, I don't have any problems throwing any of my pitches. And he feels pretty confident about that.
Well located fastball there, or changeup, excuse me, at 88 miles an hour. So he says no concern about the curveball aggravating last year's blister situation.
Right. Hey, the blister he had last year was one that was on the side of his finger. He's not had any issues with that at all. Another changeup bounced in the dirt.
I asked John Gibbons about the curveball today, and he said, well, you know, he's got a new pitch and he feels the changeup is very effective. So obviously the more he throws the changeup, the less he throws the curveball.
I believe he's got to throw the curveball to be the most effective.
3-2. And a fastball grounded to first. Bit of a tricky hop there, but a nice play made by Smoke.
Well, let's take a look at the defense. Smokey over at first. He can really pick it. He takes a hit away from Andrew Benintendi to start this ball game. And yes, sir, there he is. Where can you find a Russell Martin on a given day? Well, today he's in left field for the first time in his big league career. And it's an interesting left field. He can play very shallow because it's not very deep to left, just 310 down the line. But he was out early practicing, and you can see he's trying to gauge where he's standing, where he should be standing. But there's a lot going on behind him with the different angles of that scoreboard.
The fourth position at which Martin has started a game this year. Catcher, third base, shortstop, now left field. Here's the Red Sox shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, 287 homers and 27 RBIs on the season. As Buck mentioned, no Mookie Betts in the lineup today for the Red Sox. Just a minor side issue. They think that he will be back in the lineup tomorrow. And also the other name notable by its absence, we'll get into this, no Hanley Ramirez. That's a good fastball. Hanley Ramirez was designated for assignment by the Red Sox a few days ago. With a lot of money left on this year's deal and a vesting option for next year, the Red Sox are now out from under the vesting option. Part of it had to do with Dustin Pedroia coming back off the DL. They needed the roster spot, although Pedroia is not in the lineup today, resting after a couple of days back off a significant offseason knee surgery.
Yeah, Hanley Ramirez became redundant basically with J.D. Martinez here, and he needed a DH, and they've got Mitch Moreland at first, who's a Gold Glove defender and hitting over 300. So there were a lot of interchangeable parts.
The 2-2 is hit hard down the left field line, but foul. Man, he turned on that one.
Yeah, he did, and I think, and this is something in many ballparks, they should extend the foul poles, make them higher, because guys are hitting the ball further and further. And I just think that's a very short foul pole there. And that ball was over the foul pole, but it was foul. But why not extend it another 15, 20 feet?
Just a loud strike, another 2-2, and a fastball's lined into right field. A base hit for Bogaerts, who pretty much from the day he showed up in the big leagues, Buck, has been a tremendous two-strike hitter.
Yeah, he's got a lot of confidence. He never feels like he's in a hole, even when he gets to 2 strikes. And this is a great 2-strike approach. The pitch is out over the plate, away from him. And after he pulled a long drive foul over the wall in left field, he stays right on that pitch and gets a 1-out single into right.
Just like the Blue Jays had in the top half of the first, they couldn't take advantage. Here's Mitch Moreland. Buck was talking about him. He's now going to get the lion's share of the playing time at first base. He's hot. He's hitting over 300. He's got an OPS over 1,000. He's a very good defender. And the combination of him at first and the acquisition of J.D. Martinez making Hanley Ramirez somewhat redundant. Ramirez will clear waivers. Somebody will then, he'll become a free agent. Somebody will sign him to a prorated minimum contract, and the Red Sox will still be on the hook for the rest of the money this year, but they won't have to worry about that vesting option for next year, which was for $22 million. And you know what? If he finds the right spot, you never know with him. He's been a very streaky guy the last couple of years. He can still help somebody.
Yeah, at the end of his tenure here with the Red Sox, he was 0 for 21, and they felt like there's Dave Dombrowski, who is the GM and CEO of this ball club. But it's interesting how they decided that it was time to cut ties because they needed a spot for Pedroia. And Pedroia is probably not going to play a lot in back-to-back situations when he first gets back here.
Hot shot past a diving Travis into right field, a base hit. Bogarts is on his way to third on that long single. Red Sox on the corners with a 1-out.
Well, since Hanley Ramirez was designated for assignment on May 28th, Mitch Moreland is now 6 for 14 with 5 extra base hits. He's been wearing the cover off the baseball, and this is another shot. He gets on top of that fastball and drills it down the right field line. Bogarts goes first to third easily. Teoscar Hernandez plays it back in to keep Moreland at first base. That's important because of the double play possibility, but Moreland is swinging it right now.
So the Red Sox threatening in the bottom of the first, and here is the ultra dangerous J.D. Martinez, who had such a good year last year, split between Detroit and Arizona. He was really good for Detroit. He was out of this world for Arizona, hitting 29 home runs in 62 games with the Diamondbacks, and then eventually, it was kind of late, but eventually signed a 5-year deal in the offseason to come to Boston, and he's got 16 home runs already. Here's a ground ball to short. Can they turn it to second one? On to first. No! The throw pulls smoke off the bag, and as a result, a run will score, and the inning continues.
Well, that's exactly what Sanchez was looking for off the bat of J.D. Martinez. It took Solarte a little bit in the hole at shortstop, and then the throw was a little bit offline at second, disrupting the timing for Travis. You see he goes to his right, and the throw from Travis is up and away from Smoke. He extends. Looks like he came off the bag, but you can bet the Blue Jays will have a look at it. I mean, this one costs them a run.
Yeah, a good throw gets him.
Yeah, oh, no question about it. And Travis had plenty of time, but the Blue Jays aren't going to look at it. You can see that Smoke was off the bag when he caught the ball, and the Red Sox are going to take the lead.
So fielder's choice in the 43rd RBI on the season for J.D. Martinez gives Boston a 1-0 lead. Two down now.
Those are the plays that don't go in the scorebook that have to be turned. That's a double play ball to a key hitter. Gets you out of a jam in the first.
Here's Rafael Devers. Not only does it score a run, there's a threat of more because the inning continues, and the pitch count, of course, for Sanchez goes up. Devers, the young third baseman for the Red Sox, showed up in the big leagues last year for the first time. Has a lot of power, not having as good a year this year as he grounds one out to Travis, who will make the play, and that'll end it. But the Red Sox do get a run and lead 1-0 at the end of an inning. the second here at Fenway Park, and he made a great play to win the top half of the first, appeared to emerge unscathed, and as you said, Buck, in the first inning, he's been really good his last 3 starts.
Yeah, he sure has, and that ended a 3 straight losing decision streak for David Price, and it's hard to fathom in his career. That's the longest losing streak he's had in his career, 3 straight decisions, but since then, against the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and Tampa Bay, he has been really good.
Kevin Pillar will lead off the second. The center fielder hitting .277 on the season and 2 for 17 in his career against Price. You figure this would be a good matchup for Pillar because, as you said, Price is in the strike zone a lot, and Pillar makes really consistent contact on pitches in the zone. It's when he expands the zone that he can get himself in trouble.
That should be in Kevin's favor, but so far it hasn't played out. He's just 2 for 17 against David Price. But I tell you what, yesterday he hit the ball as hard as anybody in the ball game.
Yes.
And had nothing to show for it. He was 0 for 4, lined out twice, and had a hit taken away from him on a terrific play by the shortstop, Scott Kingery.
Count in his favor, and he fouls off a borderline 2-0 pitch, 2-1. When David Price was with the Blue Jays back in the last 2 months of 2015, of course, he started 11 games and went 9-1 with a 2.30 ERA through 75 innings, 75 and a third innings in those 11 starts. As Blue Jay fans remember, it didn't go nearly as well in the postseason that year for Price, as Pillar fouls one off 2-2.
Well, he picked up a win in the postseason pitching in relief. And that was really interesting. He came in a ball game down in Texas in the 5th inning. R.A. Dickey had started, and John Gibbons felt like it was time to make a change. He brought Price in, and he picked up a win.
Two. And another foul off by Pillar. On the previous pitch, you may have heard a big roar. We couldn't see. Apparently, there was a great catch made. It was underneath us. But it's been caught on camera. Nice grab. Barehanded and all.
Very nice grab. He braced himself with his left hand and reached over and barehanded it. Terrific play.
Again, the 2-2.
They mentioned with Price and his great command, he knows that he can just take it a little bit further outside, especially with 2 strikes, and try to get the hitter to chase. He was a real shot in the arm for the Blue Jays, and of course they picked up Tulowitzki and Price at the same time, basically. And they really helped the Blue Jays and catapulted them into the postseason.
Went, what, 42-18, something like that, to finish off 2015? After basically being a .500 team for 4 months.
Yeah, and it was just the names that you brought in. You know, they were great players, and you bring in names like that. And it happened earlier in the Blue Jays history with David Cone. You bring in David Cone mid-season, go, oh, David Cone. You mean the Mets' David Cone? And the same reaction when Tulowitzki and Price were announced.
Price making some pretty good pitches, and Pillar doing a good job to spoil them.
David Price is, in my mind, going to be one of those guys that has to maintain a certain level of velocity with his command, because he doesn't have a real good off-speed pitch, like, say, maybe CC Sabathia, where he can have a slow curveball and throw a very good changeup. He's still going to be a power guy, even though his velocity is going to tick down from time to time.
Down and in, a full count.
Cutter missed down and in. So you can see he's scattered everything all over the zone. Pillar's had a couple of good pitches to hit. Middle. And there's the left fielder on deck.
Outside, and a well-earned base on balls for Kevin Pillar. The pitch tracker is brought to you by Coors Light, official beer of Major League Baseball. So here comes Russell Martin, and as just about everybody watching probably knows by now, he is the starter in left field today. His first career appearance in the major leagues in left field. He made one start in right field for the Pirates in 2013. He becomes the first player in almost 50 years to start at catcher, third, short, and left in the same season. As he takes down and in, ball one. And the reasoning John Gibbons gave before the game was to get another right-handed at bat in the lineup. Again, no Pierce, no Grichuk. They're short on right-handed at bat. So Granderson, Smith, both left-handed batters, are on the bench against Price today. And Gibby going back to the Russell Martin's a really good athlete. We think he can do it. Took some balls off the wall, hit by Tim Leeper during batting practice.
But still, as good as Russell is at making these short-term transitions, I think Blue Jays, it's apparent they need the shortstop back, and the first guy would be Diaz. They'd like to get an outfielder back, and Grichuk still not really swinging the bat all that well in Double-A. But I think it just kind of speaks more about the Blue Jays' needs than about Russell's versatility.
Exactly. Runners going. And there is no throw from Christian Vasquez. That's a stolen base for Pilar, his 9th on the season.
Vasquez has not thrown as well this year as he did last year. Last year he threw out 42% of the runners. Pilar's perfect on the season. He gets a good jump off David Price. Obviously he knows him well, and Vasquez trying to make a throw from his knee, and this is not good. The trainer is out to see David Price. It looks like he's looking at his finger, and he again is shaking out his left arm, and that's the issue he had before. He had a tingling sensation in his left hand, and again it appears as though that might be the issue.
And if it's the same issue, it's the third, at least the third time, the third known time that it will have cropped up this year. We kind of talked about it half jokingly in the first inning when he talked about playing Fortnite and that may have caused the problem. And again, we're speculating right now, but given the way he's looking at the hand and gripping the baseball, it's got to be something on that left hand.
Well, he's going to stay in the game, and the manager and trainer are going back to the dugout. So whatever it was, and I didn't see any reaction that suggests he felt it on a particular pitch. Let's take a look at the last pitch that he throws, and he's going to release this pitch. And then as he gets out of the way, he immediately kind of shook his hand out to suggest he had an odd sensation in that hand again. And I find it curious, if it's the third time he did it, why are you going to let him continue to do it without getting to the root of the problem?
Unless he's convinced them that it's a separate problem and maybe just had some sort of a spasm or a cramp or something like that. We'll find out soon enough. Meanwhile, 3-0 on Martin with Pilar at second. And it's ball 4. Back-to-back walks given up by Price here to begin the second inning.
Now, we mentioned in his last 3 starts, Price walked a total of 6 in 20 in the third innings, and now he has walked back-to-back batters here in the second. So something is not right. He keeps looking at his fingers, and the way he wet those fingers suggests to me that he doesn't have much feeling in it. It's like he's trying to get some feeling in the tips of his fingers.
An opportunity here for the Blue Jays with 2 men on, nobody out, and the batter is Kendrys Morales. Back in the starting lineup after not being in the lineup for any of the 3 games in Philadelphia. He's had a lot of experience against Price, but not a ton of success. 6 for 27, a .222 average.
Well, when you get a good pitcher on the ropes, you got to knock him out. And Price has opened the door for them here in the second inning with back-to-back walks. And we all know how good the Red Sox are playing here at home. They're 17-8, and you got a chance to score early and get back into this game. They already trail the Blue Jays, trail 1-0.
And do you think if it's continuing to bother him, is it his control where we'll see it?
Yes. The ability to finish your pitches, and it's just like a pitcher coming back from an injury. The last thing that comes around is your command. And when you're injured, the first thing to go is your command.
You can see the look of concern on the face of Alex Cora. Inside corner with a cutter, 1-2.
Well, you can hear Price grunting on that last pitch, and when he is throwing the ball very well, that's what he does. So maybe he has sorted things out here in this at bat to Morales.
Stronger side last couple of years for Morales, the right side. As Price will step off for a moment. Price is always a deliberate worker. A run in the bottom of the first for the Red Sox. The Blue Jays trying to do some damage here in the top of the second. Outside with another grunt. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, David Price certainly has enough experience and knows himself very well, so it appears as though whatever the issue was, he doesn't think it's serious.
He's up to 33 pitches already, and he's gotten 3 outs. And the Blue Jays make him pay. 2-2. That's out, says home plate umpire Jordan Baker, and it looked to be, and it's a full count. Is there any chance, Buck, in an effort to stay out of a double play if Morales hits the ball on the ground? Any chance you think they start the runners?
Yes, of course. I mean, there's a gamble you hit into a triple play, but yeah. I think you've got to roll the dice, especially because Morales doesn't run well and he grounds into a lot of double plays. Not running.
No, big lead, but not running, and it's a fly ball to right field. Brock Holt over to his left will make the catch. Pilar is going to tag, and he's going to beat the throw. Throw a little bit offline, and aggressive base running by Pilar.
What a heads-up play by Kevin Pilar. He's very aware that Mookie Betts isn't out there in right field, who's got a cannon for an arm, and Brock Holt, the utility player, is playing in right for the first time this season. So Kevin knows he's got to run toward the foul line, and then he's got to throw back in the opposite direction toward third, and the natural flight of that ball is going to tail away from third because he didn't get his body turned in the right direction. But what a heads-up play by Pilar. On a ball that you initially assume is not deep enough to advance, he went back and factored everything in and gets an extra 90 feet.
And of course, getting to third base with a 1 out could be vital if Luke Maile can hit a fly ball. Maile hitting .291 with a couple of homers on the season. And again, the more that Martin plays somewhere else, the more that Maile plays behind the plate. It started off as a plan to play him 1 out of every 3 games, if that. And he's playing considerably more than that right now, playing about half the time, with Martin getting starts elsewhere. Inside, ball 1.
Maile has a walk-off home run against the Red Sox this season. In fact, the only 2 games the Blue Jays won against Boston in the 6 games were both walk-off home runs.
Price a little unhappy, slapped his bare hand into his glove after that call. He's fallen behind another hitter. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Pilar at third, Martin now being held at first by Moreland. And the middle infielders at double play depth. Close, but no. 3-0. Price is not missing by a lot, but a little frustrated that he keeps falling behind.
Yeah, it was a good take by Maile because obviously he's anxious to hit in this situation, and it was a borderline pitch inside. I'd give him the green light here. You're in Fenway Park. The ball flies out of the ballpark. Give him a chance to get a cookie out over the plate and do some damage.
Borderline strike, 3-1.
For sure, borderline.
He'll be swinging here if he gets one he likes. Louis Rivera with some thoughts for Kevin Pilar. Tim Leeper doing the same on the other side of the field for Russell Martin. 3-2.
And right back out to that same spot, up and away. Maile's a very good low ball hitter, and a book on him is you have to elevate the fastballs to be effective against him. Just got to put the ball in play. Cash that runner in from third.
Travis waiting on deck. 3-2 popped up first base side. Will Moreland have a play? Yes, he will. That's a big second out for David Price. So it's going to be up to Devin Travis now to try to take advantage. Travis had a really good day yesterday in Philadelphia, went 2 for 3, including a 2-run double in his first at bat of the afternoon.
Devin has hit well against Price in the past. He's 5 for 12 with a homer. And if I'm Devin Travis, I'm locked and loaded for this first pitch. Price is going to want to get ahead of him.
Up and away for ball 1. Travis, a $178, couple of homers and 6 RBIs. Spent 3 weeks down in Buffalo. Playing for the second consecutive day with Solarte at short for the second consecutive day. Trying to stay away, but he's missing that outside corner. .43 pitches thrown by Price, only 22 of them strikes. But thus far, the Blue Jays have not been able to cash in on that. Good pitch there with the knees, 2-1.
Now, this is the 23rd career start David Price has made against the Blue Jays. He's 18-3 against the Jays. And he's obviously started his career in Tampa Bay. He's pitched a lot against these AL East teams.
Chase down and in, 2-2. Price having to work hard to deal with this situation. Walked the first 2 batters. A pitch away from potentially getting out of it.
I mentioned David Price has pitched a lot in the American League East. He has a 61-30 record against the East in 128 appearances. That win percentage at .670 trails only Andy Pettit in a division that was formed in 1969. He has dominated this division for a long time.
120 once, 19 another time, a 3.22 career ERA. Low and a full count on Travis, which will give Martin a running start at first base. That's the signal Vasquez just made to the infielders. Moreland's going to come off the bag now and play behind Martin. That could help if the only play the Red Sox have on a ground ball is at second. There goes the runner, and the 3-2 pop foul out of play. 48 pitches. I mean, the Blue Jays are winning the battle of making sure that Price is not going to go too deep into this game, but they want to get some runs off.
Yeah, he threw 15 pitches in the first, and it has been a struggle here in the second. He walked the first 2 batters of the inning. Still, Blue Jays haven't scored. That's the bottom line. You got to take advantage of it.
Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. The Blue Jays lead 2 men on.
start in left field, the 6th position he's played in his big league career. Yet he's getting his first real shot at a place where Red Sox legend Carl Yastrzemski patrolled for many seasons here at Fenway. Now, Dan told you earlier that outfield coach Tim Leeper was out early this afternoon working with Martin and told me that the biggest thing about playing left here is you have to just experience it. Just come out here, take balls off the bat, see how it goes, and then make your adjustments. Leeper said he can tell Martin what to look for, sure, but he's the one who has to execute. Quote, you can explain all you want, but until you see it, feel it, and play it, nothing I say can truly prepare him. Leeper's big job, he told me, is to position Martin in the best place where he has to make the least amount of decisions, Dan. Leeper's job, he told me, is to get Martin feeling comfortable and in a place to make easy reads.
All right, Hazel, thank you. And obviously, this is no normal left field with the Green Monster here, 37 feet high, only 310 feet from home plate down the line. So Tim Leeper had some extra work here this morning with the Russell Martin. If you're wondering, well, why left field? Why not put him in right field and put Teoscar Hernandez in left? Although the Green Monster gets all the headlines, ask any outfielder, and I mean any of them, and they'll say right field is harder to play here at Fenway than left. 2 reasons. Left field, there's much less space to cover because the wall is so close. And right field, the angle of that wall beyond the pesky pole just creates some odd situations for outfielders. But mainly, it's that they want to give Martin the smaller area to cover, and that's left field.
Absolutely. You got that Green Monster back there. It can help you. And you play the ball off the wall. There's right field and all the issues that Teoscar Hernandez has. That ball over near the foul pole, if it hits and caroms past you, you could be running for days.
The interesting thing about what the Blue Jays have done the last couple of days, when Martin was at shortstop 2 days ago, he got 1 ground ball, 1 pop-up. When Solarte was at short yesterday, he got 1 ground ball. Not a whole lot of plays going to the guys who are quote unquote playing out of position. We'll see how it works out today.
But today it cost them a run. They couldn't turn the double play in the first inning off the bat of J.D. Martinez, and it was the throw by the second baseman, not the shortstop, that impacted the inability to turn double play.
Sanchez strikes out Eduardo Nunez. Now Sanchez also, when he's on, a ground ball guy. So in theory, Martin doesn't get as many plays. But as you said, Buck, this says more, as we get another look at the strikeout, this says more about the state of the roster right now than Russell Martin. They need to get Diaz back. They need to get Grichuk back. They need to get Pierce back.
Yeah, no question about it. You got your regulars that force other issues into play, and that's Russell Martin playing at third, short, and left field.
And it sounds like Grichuk is the closest. He's not far from here. He's in New Hampshire right now, Double-A. And he's on rehab and theoretically could be back within a few days. Diaz is a little bit behind him. Diaz is expected to start his rehab assignment at Double-A New Hampshire tomorrow. Three balls, no strikes on Brock Holt, who's playing in the outfield today. But Brock Holt is used to doing that kind of thing. He plays all over the field. This year, just second base and shortstop. But in past years, second, short, third, left, right, all over the place. As he'll draw the walk. But now that Dustin Pedroia is back off the DL, although he's not in the lineup today, Holt figures to go back into more of a super utility role. First walk given up today by Sanchez.
Yeah, bottom of the order is absolutely where you don't want to walk people, because each time you do that, you get closer to Benintendi, Bogarts, Moreland, and Martinez. Take advantage of these guys in the bottom of the order. I know Brock Holt's hitting .500 against the Blue Jays, but still, you can't afford to walk the bottom half of this lineup, especially in this ballpark.
So here's Vasquez, and you mentioned about his throwing has not been as good this year as it was last year. His hitting certainly hasn't been. And people around the ball club here say that even his catching attention to detail, everything kind of has taken a step backwards. There goes the runner. The pitch is fouled off as the Red Sox had the hit and run on.
Well, that's a twofold play by Alex Cora, the manager. First of all, you got a guy at the plate that's struggling in Vasquez, and it gives him focus. Okay, put the hit and run on. He's got to swing. Got to try to put the bat on the ball. And instead of thinking about it getting him base hit, he's thinking about making good contact. And he made decent contact, but it was foul. He got Holt at first, who's a good base runner. You move him along, and it's going to create an opening on the infield as somebody has to cover second. We mentioned Aaron had a very positive side session in Philadelphia, and he was optimistic that he had kind of ironed out a couple of issues with his delivery and his mechanics. Nothing major, but he's just still refining it. And people forget that he only made 8 starts all season last year, and he spent a lot of time on a disabled list. That inactivity has an impact on the following season as well.
34 walks on the season, second to most in the American League. 16 of them in his last 4 starts, covering 17 2/3 innings. Fly ball to right field, and room for Hernandez to make the catch. 2 down as we check in with Jamie for an update. Big time series rematch of the American League Championship Series a year ago, won by the Astros in 7 games.
Elk Grove, California, hotbed of baseball talent. There's no question about that.
Is that where you're from?
Yeah.
That like your hometown, when people say where are you born, it's Elk Grove, California?
No, that's where I went to high school.
That's where I went to high school.
Rowdy Tellez is from Elk Grove, California.
Northern part of the state?
Sacramento.
J.D. Davis.
Yeah, he was a big time prospect, third baseman with a lot of power.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
2 down. Here's Jackie Bradley Jr. and subpar numbers for him, another Red Sox player. Struggling with the bat as he lines one to center right at Kevin Pillar. And that's all for the Red Sox in the bottom of the second. They lead 1-0. Career 18-3 with a sparkling ERA of 2.43 over his career. Since he's come to Boston, 2-1 with a 2.53 ERA in 6 appearances, 5 of them starts. That's the last couple of years against the Blue Jays.
The last time the Blue Jays beat David Price was June 3rd of 2016, his first season with the Red Sox. They beat him right here at Fenway Park. R.A. Dickey was the pitcher for the Blue Jays. He allowed just 2 hits over 6 2/3. And you look at those games that the Blue Jays beat David Price. The common thread is a terrific start from his mound opponent. They beat him 3 times for his career. Ricky Romero threw 8 innings of 1 hit ball back in 2011. Brandon Morrow 7 innings of 2 hit ball also in 2011 in September that year. And then the R.A. Dickey defeat only 3 times as he lost to the Blue Jays.
This is the 3rd year of a huge 7-year deal for David Price. Remember back in his first year, Buck, I mean, he just seemed unhappy here. It just didn't look like it was a good fit at all. And He's now in year 3. He's making about $30 million a season for 7 years. The Red Sox have by far the highest payroll in baseball. The Dodgers have pulled back a bit. The Yankees have pulled back a bit. The Red Sox, and part of this is money going to players who are no longer here. That's close, but no, pretty good pitch there by Price. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Teoscar Hernandez. But the Red Sox are spending over $230 million on this roster.
Well, they have done that because they have so many good young players that are position players. So they can spend on starting pitchers. And they have spent on David Price. And yeah, they made some bad decisions on some contracts.
Lazy fly ball for Holt in right field. If you look at American League payrolls, I think most people would say, yeah, Yankees probably spend the most. Not even close. Now the Yankees, again, because they have so many good young players, they have pulled back. The Red Sox are at $234 million, but again, that includes money that's going to players who aren't here anymore, like including but not limited to Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez.
Rusney Castillo, who's in the minor leagues, he's making $11 million in the minor leagues. But I think if you look at that graph and you look at that salary structure, if I'm an owner of a team, I'm instructing my baseball departments to say, go out and build the deepest, strongest minor league organization you can, because each and every year we're going to promote guys from the minor leagues, and then we'll have them for 5 and 6 years at the lowest salary possible. And that's how you keep the cost down. And then every once in a while you're going to have a need, whether it's a David Price or a Manny Machado or Bryce Harper, but because you have done such a good job of developing young, low-cost talent, you're going to have the money to go out and add those key free agents.
And that's the scary thing about the Yankees right now. That's where the Yankees are. Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, Luis Severino, Gleyber Torres now. So many good young players making minimum wage or close to it.
Miguel Andujar, their third baseman,
Yeah.
and then Clint Frazier's in the minor, and Justice Sheffield is knocking on the door, and there's all kinds of talent coming.
I shouldn't say minimum wage, minimum baseball salary. I guess there's a difference, but you get the point. And then they can go out and the Yankees will have money to spend with this great free agent class, and who knows who they'll try to get. Machado is the one name that people mention more than anybody else. He's an easier fit to a division than Bryce Harper, but listen, the guy at the plate right now is likely going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Clayton Kershaw can opt out of his contract and be a free agent at the end of the season. There are some big names out there.
Kershaw's an interesting guy because he spent time on a DL the last few years, and if I'm Clayton Kershaw, I'm not opting out of anything. He plays in LA, got the best baseball weather in the world, got a terrific fan base, and he's an iconic player. Play his whole career there.
Yep.
Where are you going to get a better situation than the Dodgers?
Sometimes they opt out and then renegotiate it with the same team and extend their contract that way. That is close, but inside. Price is all around the plate, but he's walked another one. That's the third walk he's given up today.
We mentioned the hand issue, and as far as velocity, it doesn't appear to be a problem, but it may be factoring into the 3 walks. He had walked 6 in total in his last 3 starts. He's halfway there already.
He's at 59 pitches, as you can see, through 2 1/3. But again, the Blue Jays have not been able to push a run across. They're 0 for 5 with men on base today. You can see as you look down the line here at Fenway Park, and I lost track of that ball. I think it got up over the netting into the seats, but you can see the netting has been extended here at Fenway Park. It has been extended at almost every ballpark. The ones that didn't have netting further down the line, everybody extended it after some serious incidents. Some were here, some were at Yankee Stadium. And I think everybody applauds the move. That may have come too late, obviously, where teams took it upon themselves to exceed the Major League Baseball mandated guidelines and extend the netting, and especially the way the stands buck jut out here down the lines. They're so close to the field that here, maybe more than any other ballpark, it's good they have the netting down towards the foul pole.
Yeah, there are seats down the left field line that are no further than 6 feet away from the foul line. And now they are protected with the netting. You can see the netting right down there. It goes up probably about 15 feet. But as that ball girl tossed the ball around the netting, I mean, I don't know if I'd come here and be comfortable sitting in those seats without a net, because those line drives rocket in there time and time again. And now with the netting, those fans will be protected. And you know what? They did a great job with the netting, because I don't even think you noticed it.
I haven't heard one person say this year. And Smoke gets swung up on strike 3 call. Again, Price has been all around that inside corner. Sometimes he's gotten the call, sometimes he hasn't. That time he did.
More often than not, that has been a ball throughout the early stages of this game. But this time, Smoke is called out on it, and looked like it caught the inside corner, according to that last pitch. He does a good job, and most of the pitches he throws are going to be 2-seamers like that one, and there was ever so slight movement back toward the corner, and he caught that inside corner to Smoke.
So the Blue Jays now 0 for 6 with men on base today. They have certainly had some chances in the early going. Here's Solarte, who hit a rocket back to the mound, knocked down by Price, and then Price threw him out to win the first. Short lead at first by Donaldson, and being held by Moreland with 2 down. Popped him up, back of second. It'll be Bogarts, the shortstop, backpedaling to make the catch. And the Blue Jays will leave another man on. 1-0 Red Sox going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Last season, the Blue Jays have had 3 consecutive quality starts, hoping Aaron Sanchez can keep that trend going. Pitching coach Pete Walker said he's noticed much better pitching in general, yes, and while he's encouraged by what he's seeing, he'd like to witness a few more solid turns through the rotation. However, as a group, what Walker has been pleased with is that the guys are throwing more strikes. He's seeing more balls in that zone. They're getting ahead in the count. Of course, strike 1 always important. They did that over this past weekend, and they did it more often. They did it more consistently. Walker said to get ahead in the count and really be able to dictate the at-bats, that's what he's seeing the rotation do a better job of. That's when you'll be able to experience a little bit of success. And Dan, I heard you and Buck talking about Sanchez's changeup versus that curveball. He's been throwing the change 3.5 times more than 2016. The curveball just half as much as 2016. Walker said, well, you got to consider his changeup is a more improved pitch, so he's more confident in it. He's throwing it more because of that. And while the curve is important, as Buck mentioned, Sanchez is still not as comfortable with it this time around.
All right, definitely something that I think a lot of Blue Jay fans have taken an interest in, is that the ratio of pitches, changeup to curveball for Aaron Sanchez. One thought John Gibbons had it on it before the game was that hitters aren't swinging at the curveball very much. So if he's not able to throw it for a strike consistently, can it be a good pitch for him? But with a breaking ball, whether it's curveball or slider, as you well know, Buck, there are 2 kinds. There's the strike to ball one. It looks like a strike, but it winds up a ball. You want them to chase it. Or the ball to strike one that looks like a ball, winds up a strike, and you're hoping they take it. as that pitch misses down and away.
Yeah, and Hazel's talking about the last 3 starts and how well the starters threw strikes, and Sam Gaviglio started it Friday night against the Phillies, and then Jaime Garcia was outstanding in his start.
Andrew Benintendi just not trying to do too much in that count. Put the bat on the ball and bounced it into center field for a base hit.
Benintendi's been swinging the bat well over the last couple of weeks. We mentioned he's hit .392 in his previous 14 games, and this is just a good piece of hitting. Plus the fact that he can hit the ball anywhere in the ballpark. Sanchez makes a good pitch and doesn't get rewarded by getting it out. But when you spread the defense in a shift, it opens up so many opportunities for a good hitter like Benintendi to just take a single and slap it through that vacated hole at shortstop.
And he's got some speed. 8 for 8 stealing bases this year, so Maile may be tested here. And the batter's a guy who can handle the bat in Xander Bogaerts. It's a pretty tough combination at the top of a lineup. Bogaerts with a base hit his first time up and came around to score in the fielder's choice by J.D. Martinez when the Blue Jays should have been able to turn a double play, but the throw from Devin Travis sailed on him a little bit and pulled Justin Smoke off the bag.
Sanchez aware that Benintendi can run. Benintendi has been 4 for 4 against the Blue Jays this season in those previous 6 games. Couple of breaking balls in this at bat to Bogaerts. I tell you what, you don't need to throw many, but when you put the breaking ball in the hitter's mind, it makes them a little bit tardy on your fastball. Just another thing they have to think about.
He strikes him out on 3 pitches. Maybe that'll give Sanchez a little bit more confidence. 2 curveballs to start that at bat.
2 curveballs and a changeup, and you can see how he grips that changeup deep into his glove, and he uses a terrific arm action to sell that pitch to the hitters. They see the arm action, think fastball, and then that sinking changeup very effective. There are so many different kinds of changeups. You talk about Sam Gaviglio's changeup. He throws it with a split grip.
You mean the split Fosh change?
That one.
Yeah. As he calls it.
And then Marco Estrada with his 4-seam changeup just floats in there. But Sanchez has dramatic sink to his changeup. It's basically a sinking fastball when you really think about it.
And there's some pitchers who talk about and toy with and tinker with changeups for years and years and years. Some get it right away, and some can never quite get the hang of it.
It's such an important pitch if you can master it. And you know, the Red Sox, they had one of the best in their franchise history in Pedro Martinez, who could throw the changeup about 8 or 9 different speeds. Marco Estrada has a terrific changeup, and his is a consistent changeup that's a 4-seam straight changeup.
Chopper back toward the mound. Sanchez, good throw to Solarte. They can't turn 2. That would have been a difficult turn with Solarte coming over from the right side of the bag. Momentum carrying him in the other direction. But again, a good throw might have gotten him.
Yeah, you know what? And Sanchez did a heck of a job. He made a great throw. And he had a little trouble with his footing as he was trying to get his balance and make the throw to second. But watch how good a throw this is to second. Right there, he seemed to slip a little bit. But Solarte, if he takes another step, I don't think he had to throw this ball flat-footed, but he does, and when he does, he doesn't get enough on it. And you can see he throws it wide of the mark at first. I think he had a little more time than he anticipated, but Sanchez made a good feed to second for the force.
So 2 down, a runner at first, and here's J.D. Martinez. First pitch swinging into center field, charging is Pilar, and he's got it. So Sanchez only has to throw 1 more pitch to get out of it. It's 1-0 Red Sox at the end of 3.
84 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching today's broadcast. Your entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Don't forget, your code must be entered by 4 a.m. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. Hazel down in the camera well just beyond the Blue Jays third base dugout here at Fenway. Some Blue Jay fans in attendance on this Memorial Day holiday in Boston. Dan Schulman to Buck Martinez. 1-0 Red Sox top four. Kevin Pillar leads it off. And lines one into left center field, a base hit, and it's getting to the wall. Big bounce out towards center, picked up by Bradley. Pillar slides safely into second base with a leadoff double.
Well, Kevin's been swinging the bat great. We mentioned his game against the Phillies yesterday. He hit the ball hard 3 times and had nothing to show for it. And after drawing a walk in the second, he's all set for this first pitch from David Price. And he hammers it past Benintendi. Benintendi was trying to cut off the Karen, but it got beyond him, and Jackie Bradley's right there to back him up.
And again, we don't talk about exit velocity all that much on this broadcast, but it's something that every front office looks at a lot. How hard the ball comes off the bat. And the ball comes off Pillar's bat hard, often. That was 110 miles per hour off the bat. Got to the wall in a hurry. He's a line drive machine. He's had some bad luck the last few days, as Buck mentioned. Even though the numbers have gone down for Pillar the last couple of weeks, he's still making a lot of contact.
A lot of hard contact, and that double is his 20th, and that leads the major leagues in doubles. He was tied with Mookie Betts and Jose Abreu with 19, and the National League leader is behind them as well. Chris Bryant of the Cubs has 60, tied with Eric Hosmer of the Padres.
There's Russell Martin. The Blue Jays again have had all kinds of chances. There has been at least one base runner on in every inning. Price has been in the stretch most of the afternoon. He's thrown 68 pitches already. But the Blue Jays are 0 for 7 with men on base today. 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. That's got to change if they're going to win this game. They can't let all of these opportunities get away. This will at least advance a runner as Martin grounds out and Pillar comes to third.
Well, Pillar did a good job again running the bases. We mentioned it in his first trip around the bases, how he advanced from second to third on a short fly ball. Bogaerts was playing behind him so he doesn't get a big lead, and Kevin's aware of that, and he knows that Bogaerts has a tough play, so Kevin never hesitated and moves over to third base. You know, the old rule in baseball, you got to make sure that ball's hit behind you when you're running from second, but not in that case because it was so softly hit.
And the infield is in now with Kendrys Morales coming up. Lars had a busy day. A walk, a steal, a double, some base running plays, 2 line drives right at him.
Well, he's rested up. He didn't play Saturday.
Yeah.
First time he hasn't played all year.
And he wasn't happy about it. He does not like to come out of the lineup. You know, when you're a 32nd round pick and you have to work hard for everything, you don't want to give an inch. One and one. You wonder if there's a little conversation going on right there inside Morales' head, saying, don't try to do too much, just hit a fly ball, let's get this run in. Or a base hit will do as well. Lines it into left field for an RBI single to tie the game.
Slowly but surely, Kendrys Morales is starting to look like Kendrys Morales. That's a big hit right there to tie up the game, and Morales hit a shallow fly ball to right field his first time up. Kevin Pillar comes in to score, and that ball is just on the inner half, and he drives it over the shortstop's head into left field. But it's been a slow, steady grind for him. But recently, we're starting to see more consistent contact from Morales.
So the Blue Jays have tied it up at 1 here in the top of the 4th. The hits are even at 3 apiece. The batter was Luke Maile, who popped up his first time up. First pitch swinging. into shallow right center field, and it'll be the center fielder Jackie Bradley Jr. 2 down. Price will like that after all of the long innings he's had already today. He's at 73 pitches right now. It's funny, instead of tossing the ball out of play, he gave it to the second base umpire, Jerry Lane.
Yeah, it was kind of curious the way he did that. I don't know if he wanted Lane to look at something on the baseball or not, but I just watched the crew chief kind of look at it, rub it up a little bit, and then tossed it out of play.
Here's Devin Travis, struck out in the second. And he pokes one down the right field line, but foul.
The boys have their coach sitting out. They want to switch them up.
In this situation, Moreland is not exactly holding Morales on. He's near the bag, and he comes off the bag quickly as Price begins his movement towards the plate, trying to make up some of the distance. You never see, ever, when second base is open, you never see the first baseman not hold the runner anymore, like play behind him. You never see that at all. The most you'll see, even though running is such a small part of the game compared to the way it used to be, the most you'll see is kind of what Moreland is doing right now.
Yeah, a lot of first basemen will play in that fashion. We saw Pujols play like that at first base where they're off the bag. It's something that basically started with Keith Hernandez when he was with the Cardinals and the Mets. He would play off of there because it gives the base runner a very odd perspective as to where the base is. You know, for years and years and years, the first baseman put his right foot on the edge of that first base bag, and then the base runner felt comfortable. But now it's a little odd, the feeling you get when you're a base runner and that first baseman is so far away from the bag. Devin's getting closer. I think the one thing now that if I'm Devin Travis, I got to be aware. I don't want to change my approach, but I got to be aware that Price is probably going to pop something inside. But still cover that out or half. That's your strength. But Price got him on a breaking ball down and in the last time up. And after those good swings, he's probably going to look in that same area.
And when we've seen Travis hot in his career, oftentimes it's taking outside pitches to the opposite field with some zip on it. Did try to bust him inside.
Yeah. So now it's up to Vasquez and Price to make up your mind. Do we go back in there again? If I'm Price, I would go back in there again because Travis has had some good swings on balls on the outer part of the plate. Looks like they're going away.
Left it over the middle. Hot shot to center, but Bradley there. And the Blue Jays are retired. They do tie it up, though, as Kendrys Morales knocks in a run with a base hit.
from the game. Check out new episodes of A Swing and a Belt with Dan Shulman every Thursday through the baseball season. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Dan, what's on deck this week?
Well, let's see what we can tell you. I didn't realize this promo was coming my way like that. I did a couple when we were in Philadelphia. Talked to Nick Pivetta, the young man from Victoria, and talked to Gabe Kapler, the manager of the Phillies. And I believe I'm having to sit down with Alex Cora tomorrow. So those are some of the things that are coming up. Thank you, Hazel. 1-1 tie as the Red Sox come up in the bottom of the fourth. And Aaron Sanchez will miss just low ball one to Rafael Devers. Devers last year hit .284 in 58 games as a rookie for the Red Sox. 14 doubles, 10 homers. He was really a force offensively. He's not a great defensive player, and the offense has taken a step back. And as you look at kind of the bottom half of the Red Sox lineup, I mean, this is a great offensive team, one of the best in baseball. But Devers not where he was last year. Vasquez not where he was last year. As he crosses up the shift and bangs one into left field for a base hit. Jackie Bradley Jr. not close to where he was last year. The numbers, when you look at the bottom of the order, don't suggest it's that typical Red Sox imposing 1 to 9 batting order, but the overall numbers are still very good.
Yeah, they are, and they're getting a lot of production, of course, from J.D. Martinez. Mitch Moreland's going to pick it up now to get Dustin Pedroia back. The offense should improve. Nunez hasn't been as productive as they would have hoped. 3 homers and 12 RBIs, and he's been filling in majority of the time at second for Pedroia, but Pedroia is back now, and they're going to, I'm sure, be careful on how much of a workload they give him.
Serious knee surgery that he had last October. Cartilage restoration surgery, and just now making his way back, and a little soreness after playing for a couple of days, so they're going to ease him back into everyday duty as Nunez lines one into left field for a base hit, and here they come, first and second, nobody out.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Here at Fenway Park in Boston, one of baseball's great old ballparks. Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, Hazel May. Is this one still different for you? You get to go to, every American League park every year. Is this one still special?
Absolutely, it's special just because of the history over the years, the great players that have played here. Luke Maile got crossed up totally, and he's lucky he didn't get hit. It went off his glove, but that was supposed to be a breaking ball. And Maile is fortunate he didn't get hurt, as Brock Holt swung right through it. And they're going to have a little chat about this, but watch the catcher. He's going to go to his right, anticipating a breaking ball. And he's fortunate he got a glove on it, because that was headed right for his left shoulder. But he's going to slide expecting a breaking ball. And Sanchez crosses him up and throws a fastball. So now the runners move up.
I assume it'll be a pass ball. We haven't heard yet.
Yeah, and that's a tough pass ball, but it probably will be scored a pass ball because it went off the catcher's glove.
So more problems here for the Blue Jays. Second and third now, nobody out for Holt. Donaldson even with the bag at third. Everybody else backed up on the infield as Holt lifts a fly ball to left field. First opportunity for Martin. He'll make the catch and throw it back into third as the run will come in to score on the sac fly that gives the Red Sox the lead.
Well, Brock Holt didn't waste any time in putting that ball in play with a runner at third. Goes the other way. I mean, that's a classic approach for a hitter in that situation. Get something out over the plate, just lift the fly ball. You're not trying to hit it too hard. Just hit it up in the air and you'll cash one in for sure. If you happen to square it up and really hit it on the barrel, you might drive in two.
And I'm not sure it needs to be said, but just in case, Martin didn't have a chance to throw him out there. He made the right play getting it back into third base. So too deep to get Devers.
Yeah, once you take a couple of steps back from your initial setup defensively, that kind of eliminates any chance of making a throw to the plate.
So Boston has the lead again, 2-1. The batter is Vasquez. And we just heard that it is indeed a pass ball charge to Maile on that previous play. Here comes Martin. Can he get there? He cannot. It's a base hit, but he picks up barehanded. Runners on the corners for the Red Sox.
Well, things haven't gone Sanchez's way this inning. Ground ball for a base hit through the shift. Wild pitch moves the runners up, and then this blooper drops in front of Russell Martin. Russell made a nice play, because if he doesn't grab this with a bare hand, there's a chance that Nunez could score. But he's able to barehand it and keeps Nunez at third base. But again, this inning is reflective of the Blue Jays defense. For this last month, they have not played good defensive baseball. A cross up, and that's part of defense. They cross up and they get charged with a pass ball. It immediately leads to a run. There have been a couple of double play balls here today that haven't been converted. And the defense, boy, when you're not playing well, defense is really magnified, and the Blue Jays haven't played good defense this month.
Jackie Bradley Jr. is the batter. First and third, one out, a run in. Bradley lined out to center field his first time up. This would be an extremely difficult guy to double up if he hits the ball on the ground. Left-handed batter, very good speed. Left center field, and it's going to get down. One run is home. Pilar gets it back into the infield. Second and third, 3-1 Boston.
Fourth hit of the inning by the Red Sox, and it's the bottom part of the order. Remember, this all started with a ground ball right through the hole at shortstop because the Blue Jays were playing in the shift. Then Nunez gets a clean single to left field, sac fly by Holt. Vasquez drops a pop-up in there for a base hit, and then Bradley rips one into the alley in left center for an RBI double.
And Pete Walker on his way out to the mound. Jordan Baker's coming out to break it up. Nobody's throwing yet in the bullpen, but after that hit, two or three guys got up, started stretching and windmilling their arms around. You would think, if need be, this would be a Biagini situation. He's still with the team. He's in the bullpen now. He's capable of length. 3 runs on 7 hits. Now for the Red Sox off Sanchez. The command has been better today. He's walked 1, but they've knocked him around a little bit. Top of the order now, Andrew Benintendi, who's 1 for 2. As you say, Buck, there's a good curveball. As you say, Buck, if a couple of defensive plays are made, it's a different story here. If they can turn that double play in the first, the Red Sox don't get a run in the first.
Right. And that's just the way it's been defensively for this team, where you need a key play. You need a double play to get out of the situation, and you can't convert them. And balls drop. The Red Sox over at third. Vasquez and Carlos Fablis thought that Sanchez had balked, but the home plate umpire had asked for time.
The big problem for Aaron this year has been, in addition to the command issues that we've talked about, is left-handed batters have hit him hard, significantly harder than righties have. And today, Sanchez, lefties versus Sanchez are 4 for 8, which doesn't count the Holt walk and sac fly. And those numbers may go up here. Martin's going to turn and watch it go. 3-run homer, Benintendi to blow it open for the Red Sox.
Andrew Benintendi had an opposite field single back into third. We talked about how he just reached out and stroked that fastball away into left field, and that set him up perfectly for this next impact. He's got a lot of power, and he's got power to the opposite field. This is a perfectly suited player for this ballpark. Watch how he stays on that pitch. It's down. It ran over the plate a bit, but he lifts it into the green monster seats for his 7th home run of the season. And it's a 5-run inning.
Bullpen is up. It's Danny Barnes, and we mentioned Biagini a little bit earlier. This may be that Biagini needs a little bit longer to warm up, or they prefer Barnes to get out of an existing inning or an existing situation and give Biagini a fresh inning. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure if this game is deemed to be out of reach, John Gibbons doesn't want to run through 4 or 5 relievers today if he can help it. And there's the lefty-righty thing again. As you can see that for the second time today, Sanchez makes pretty quick work of Bogaerts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets back to his inability to command the strike zone. You see what lefties have done against him, including today, almost up to 300. 100 points difference when he's facing righties, because he has that ability to get the ball away from him, and then he can sink it down and in and use that changeup very effectively to the right-handed hitters. So he's going to have to find out a way to command the inner part of the plate to the lefties to throw strikes. You see what the lefties have done against him. They've hit the ball the other way.
So that pitch right there that he threw to Moreland, that inside two-seam fastball, vital.
You can throw a 2-seamer or a 4-seamer inside. Just have to throw something that's a strike inside to keep them off of your sinking fastball out over the plate. Devers had a ground ball single on a pitch away, and then Benintendi in the third had that RBI, or had that single to left on a fastball away. You have to throw enough pitches inside so they honor the inside strike as well.
In terms of just stuff, do you see any difference in Aaron's fastball between now and 2 years ago? The quality of the pitch.
Sure, the quality of the pitch is its location and his ability to get down in the zone. As far as velocity and movement, I think it's there at times, but it's not as consistently going down as it did in 16. I think he had more of a sinking fastball, a true sinker, instead of a running fastball. Now there's a good pitch. That was a 4-seamer he threw to the inside part of the plate, and he didn't get the call. But I think consistently he could throw that sinker and it would stay over the plate and it would go down, as opposed to those sinkers that start on the plate and run off the plate.
If you talk to Aaron Sanchez, you sense instantly how competitive he is, how determined he was coming into this year to have a great year because of all the problems with the blister last year. He was chomping at the bit to get out of the gate and get going here this season, and you can only imagine how frustrated he is right now. Change up to get him as he strikes out Moreland. That'll end the inning, but it's a big one. 5 runs across. 6-1 Boston. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Jamie Campbell and Joe Siddall are in the Samsung broadcast studio. season.
Well, and it's his 4th home run in his last 8 games, and all of those home runs have come right here in 6 home games. It's 97 miles an hour off the bat, and it gets over the top of that green monster. It's 340 feet away, but he is perfectly suited hitting this ballpark. Yeah, he's got a lot of power when he pulls it, but when you stay in this stroke like he's got right now, I mean, it reminds me an awful lot of Fred Lynn early in his career. The way he could drive the ball up into those seats he'd left at the time. Of course, there were no seats when Lynn was playing, but he would play pepper off that green monster and hit several balls over it. Same type of approach as Andrew Bennett intended.
Fred Lynn's in the ballpark today.
Yeah.
MVP and Rookie of the Year 1975. Here's Teoscar Hernandez, who's 0 for 2, and he's scuffling right now. He had that little issue with his side a couple of days ago, but going back over about 8-9 days, Teoscar's 4 for his last 31.
Yeah, information is out now on Hernandez. You know, he came up and had a good September last year, and then after being in AAA to start the season, he came up and got off to another good start to this season, and now people are starting to focus on him, trying to come up with game plans and see if they can find any weaknesses in his approach. So he's got to counteract that now. When he's hot, he's really staying off those borderline pitches away. And recently we have seen him chase some of those pitches. But once again, when you get off to a good start, you want to chase hits instead of thinking about making the pitcher come to you.
It's this one hard to right center field, and a diving grab is made by Brock Holt. You could stick him just about anywhere, and you're going to get a pretty good effort.
Absolutely, and you know what? Mookie Betts does that so frequently. It looked like Mookie Betts out there in right field, leaving his feet, making a nice catch to take a hit away from Teoscar Hernandez. First start in right field this season. He gets a good break on contact, and then the ball is slicing back toward him, coming off the bat of a right-handed hitter. But he leaves his feet to make a nice running catch.
First start in the outfield this year. Here's Josh Donaldson, who's got a base hit and a walk today. And each time didn't get any further than first base. The Blue Jay run coming in the 4th on an RBI single by Kendrys Morales that cashed in Kevin Pillar, but then the Red Sox answered back with 5 in the bottom half to now lead 6-1.
How many times have we seen that, either the Blue Jays or the Red Sox putting up crooked numbers in this ballpark? And John Gibbons knows all about that. You give another team opportunities like the pass ball charged to Melee. It was a cross up between Melee and Sanchez, and that moved the runners up, and all of a sudden the entire complexion of the inning turns around.
2-1. No activity in the Blue Jay pen, so it looks like Sanchez, after getting out of it, will come back out for the bottom of the 5th. David Price now staked to a pretty good lead. His pitch count is up there at 86 through 4 1/3. He's walked 3 and had to throw 34 pitches in the 2nd inning alone. Faced 5 batters through 34 pitches in the 2nd. Well, the Blue Jays didn't score in that inning.
And that was the inning where he called the trainer out, and they had some discussion about something to do with his left hand. But obviously it's not an issue any longer.
And there's the 4th walk that he's given up today. At one point, one of the real workhorses in baseball, and actually had a complete game 2 starts ago, but you don't see guys going over 100 pitches as often anymore. It's gone down a lot in the last couple of years, and for Price, it's dwindled all the way down to 0 so far this year.
Yeah. Back in 2013, when he was a real horse, he had 4 complete games. In 2014, he threw 248 in the 3rd innings. He faced more batters than anybody in the American League that season. Faced over 1,000 batters. And he was up there in innings and hits allowed, strikeouts. He struck out 271 batters. But That was the David Price of a few years ago. His first year here in Boston, he led the league with 230 innings.
There's a fair ball into the left field corner off the bat of Smoke. Donaldson sizing it up on his way to third, and Smoke into second with a double.
For Smoke, after a couple of strikeouts, once swinging, once looking, he gets the double, his 12th of the season. You know, just like the Red Sox, Blue Jays can put up quick numbers here in this ballpark as well. Smoke gets to that pitch that Price didn't get inside far enough, and he's able to keep it fair down the left field line. It gets into that corner, and Benintendi has to dig it out.
And Nicky Huffman, the trainer for the Blue Jays, is out talking to Donaldson, and Josh Donaldson is coming out of this game.
Yeah, I saw him running from first, and he certainly wasn't running full speed. And I had my doubts as to whether he just thought it was going to be a routine double, but obviously there was an injury involved, and we're not sure what it was. But if we go back and watch him running from first to third on this play, there was something going on, because he knew that he couldn't go full speed, risking further damage. But here he's walking, you can see, very gingerly going around the bases, and he's able to make it over to third, but he felt something. I don't know what it is, and he is out of the game. But he called the trainer out. But I watched him run the bases on that Smoke double, and there was something going on with him.
So Gio Urshela is in to run and will stay in the game. Now here's Yangervis Solarte with a fly ball to right field, racing over towards the line. Holt makes the catch. Urshela tags, coming down the line, and will score standing up as the throw is cut. So a sac fly for Solarte gets a run back for the Blue Jays. It's now 6-2.
So Solarte picks up the RBI, his 32nd, and slowly but surely, Blue Jays packing away.
The concern has to be obviously with Josh Donaldson leaving the game. As you said, Buck, we have no idea what it is. You think it's something in his legs? You think it's something in his lower half, the way he was going around second base?
You know what? There was something he did with his left arm that suggested maybe it's an oblique muscle or something like that. But there's no reason to speculate what it is. But it's obviously something that he had to yield to and get out of the game.
Strike taken by Kevin Pillar as Alex Cora has his bullpen up. That's right-hander Heath Hembry. David Price 1 out shy of qualifying for a win.
92 pitches.
When he was at his best, he was a complete game in 96, 101. I mean, he could carve through a lineup quickly back in the day. But the stuff is just not quite where it was back when he was a Tampa Bay Ray.
To mention his Cy Young season in 2012. And he was a guy that would pitch deep into the games time and time again. 4 complete games a couple of years later, but he was always deep, 7th, 8th, 9th inning. Those long guys in the bullpen would take the day off when David Price was starting.
Pillar has walked and he's doubled and scored today. 6-2 Boston. Pitch is high, ball 1. One more look at Donaldson rounding second, coming to third.
Now watch his left arm, as he's really not pumping that left arm. I have no idea what it is, but it just looks awkward the way he's holding his left arm, like it might suggest a rib cage injury or something, but there's no reason to go further than that. But it was just weird the way he was running. Obviously he felt something and was aware that if he pushed it, he was going to injure himself further.
Swing and a miss. Pillar strikes out, and that's all for the Blue Jays. They lose Donaldson. They get a run. They trail 6-2.
third base in the ball game. As far as the other injuries that we'd like to update you on, Dan already mentioned Aledmus Diaz is set to play rehab games in New Hampshire. He'll join Randall Grichuk, who's been getting his ABs in with the Fisher Cats as well. Marcus Stroman has begun long tossing and plans to throw a side session this week. Troy Tulowitzki begins a running progression off the anti-gravity machine and on flat ground. And Steve Pearce, who's been dealing with that oblique issue, will begin hitting progression this week. That will include hitting off a tee. So things are moving along, Dan, maybe not as fast as Blue Jays fans would like, but things are moving along in the right direction as far as those injury updates.
All right, Hazel, thank you. And again, we have no way of knowing. As you can see, Urshela stays in the game. He's going to stay at third. Solarte will stay where he started at short. We have no way of knowing yet what it is or the severity of whatever it is with Donaldson. But if it's something that's going to cost him some time, unfortunately, his name will have to be added to the list. And the Blue Jays will have to dip down to the minors and call somebody up. And you know what a lot of Blue Jay fans are saying as they're watching this game right now. They're saying, what do you mean somebody?
Somebody.
Yeah.
That somebody has already driven in a run today again. He's got 50 RBIs in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Ladd Jr. 1 for 3 with a double and an RBI, hitting .429. Kevin Biggio 1 for 2 today. Bo Bichette 2 for 3 today. Randall Grichuk is also on rehab right now, as Hazel mentioned. He's at Double-A, and he's 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts today.
The interesting thing will be when Diaz goes there to Double-A to rehab, how they fit him in. He's got to play shortstop, obviously. That's where the Blue Jays want him to play. So then Bichette goes to second, and maybe Biggio plays first. Biggio played first in the early part of the season when Gurriel was there.
Here's a ball driven by J.D. Martinez and way out of here.
All year last year, the Red Sox were wondering how in the world are we going to replace David Ortiz, and they didn't do it last year, but boy, have they ever done it this year. J.D. Martinez has really provided the pop that was missing in this lineup. That's his 17th home run. He has 12 home runs in his last 24 games, and the fastball meant to be away is right in his wheelhouse. Terrific power hitter that can take advantage of this green monster here in Boston, but that one goes out of any ballpark. I don't care where you are, but he is really a perfect hitter for this park because there's so much room in the power alley and right center here at Fenway Park, and he is one of the best opposite field right-handed hitters in the game.
You know, last year you mentioned that the Red Sox were searching for a way to replace David Ortiz. They never really found it. They were 27th in baseball in home runs last year, which is kind of hard to believe. This year, thanks to J.D. Martinez plus increased power from Mookie Betts, the Red Sox are second in the major leagues in home runs. A huge leap forward.
Well, they've always been a team that survives on home run power. You go back to Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz when they were in their prime here, and even further than that, of course, the Jim Rice, Fred Lynn era. Before that, Yaz, and then of course the great Ted Williams. They've always been a home run hitting team.
You know, and they're off to such a good start this year, and the Yankees are off to such a good start this year. But given the way the playoff format is, Buck, obviously only one of them can win the division. And this is the difference when you have 2 wild cards instead of 1. If you had 1, it wasn't such a big deal if you didn't win the division. There was no real penalty. With 2 wild card teams, the Smoke is battling the sun. Good job by him to make the catch. With 2 wild card teams, there's an enormous incentive to win your division and avoid the 1-game wild card situation. So whoever does not win the division, if not to concede anything, but if we concede 1 and 2 to the Red Sox and the Yankees, one of these teams is going to have to play somebody else just for the right to go on the road in a division series and maybe go play the other one.
Yeah, it's really to your advantage to win a division, and then you can have a little more time. You've got the chance to set up your rotation. You have, of course, a 5-game series as opposed to a 1-and-none situation. So you can bet that all of the teams that are in contention for postseason have the division titles on their mind. That's first and foremost.
The Yankee-Red Sox rivalry has kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. Back in 2003 and 2004, at least as far as back as I can go, was the best I can ever remember. At the Dave, in 2003 when they tried to break the curse and they couldn't. 2004 they did. Hot shot down to first and Smokes got it. Dave Roberts with the stolen base. Red Sox come back in the ALCS and all that. But it feels to me like the rivalry is really on the upswing again, and that every regular season series between the Red Sox and the Yankees is going to be hotly contested and extremely meaningful.
Well, and you obviously can go way back in this history. In the '78 Yankees and the Red Sox had that terrific game playoff here at Fenway Park, and
Bucky Bleepin' Dent.
Yeah, he was the guy, and Mike Torres and all those great players. But you know, they have gone back and forth. But you're right, there was a long gap between the rivalry where it didn't become such an intense rivalry, but I think that has returned now.
There was a little bad blood earlier this season between the two teams in one of their series. But we've got the potential of seeing a team win 96, 98, who knows how many games, and maybe be a wild card team this year, because there are so many bad teams in the American League. Teams like the Yankees and Red Sox are just going to pound them.
Yeah, and when you look at what the Red Sox have done against the American League East, they're 22-10 against the East. This is their 33rd game against the East. No one has played more than 27 in the division. Tampa Bay has played 27 to this point because they've played the Red Sox a lot.
Holt with a ground ball, charged by Travis, and the Red Sox are gone. But not before JD Martinez restores that 5-run margin with a no doubt about it home run over the monster.
Catch every moment this season. Get Blue Jays home screen icons and features such as the MLB TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Thank you, Hazel. We are going to the top of the 6th now with Fenway Park. 7-2 the Red Sox lead, and David Price is done for the afternoon.
David Price throws 95 pitches over 5 innings. He walks elevated that pitch count. He lost his command a little bit in the 2nd inning, and a visit from the trainer and the manager, but he was able to strand a couple. He stranded 5 over the course of the day, and Price is out of the game, and now they'll turn it over to the bullpen. Hembree first out for the Red Sox, making his 23rd appearance of the season. He appeared in a game on Friday against the Braves, and that was his 22nd appearance. Over this last 6 games, he's thrown the ball very well, an earned run over 5 innings. No walks and 8 strikeouts.
And the first batter he will face is Russell Martin, who has walked and grounded out. 7-2 Red Sox out hitting the Blue Jays 9-4. As Martin looks at a called strike. Embry has been with the Red Sox since the 2014 season. Spent a little bit of time with the Giants back in 2013. Down at the end of the bullpen, the Red Sox have one of the best in Craig Kimbrell. And they've got a guy in the 8th inning right now who, Buck, finally looks like he's getting to where a lot of people thought he would get for the last few years. Different roles, who knew, but Joe Kelly is really throwing the heck out of the ball.
Yeah, Joe Kelly is one of the best setup men in baseball right now. They got him thinking he was going to be a starter, but he's allowed just 1 run in his last 23 outings going back to the 1st of April. And he's a hard thrower. He'll touch 100. He's got the best fastball in that bullpen and features a lot of good fastballs. Matt Barnes on his left there is also a hard thrower that's got a nasty split.
And Martin has gone 1 down. Let's get an update with Jamie. Corey Dickerson's been a really nice pickup for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He sure has. He's hitting .312, and you know what? Clint Hurdle was really pleased with his performance in the spring, and he's carried that right into the season. Mike Montgomery is on the hill for the Cubs, and he's allowed just 1 hit over 5 innings. And that's a terrific game. Cubs have 1 run on 4 hits.
And now the Milwaukee Brewers setting the pace in the National League Central. And in fact, they've got the best record in the entire league. They're 34-20 right now, 4 games up on the 2nd place Cardinals.
You know what their strength is? Their bullpen. They have done a terrific job with their bullpen, and now they have their closer back after Corey Knebel spent some time on a DL with a hamstring injury.
Morales just fouled a ball off his foot.
Jeremy Jeffers, former Blue Jay, has a streak of 23 2/3 innings of scoreless relief. He's done a great job as a middle to late inning reliever. Josh Hader, of course, he is ridiculous in his ability to strike out batters. The lefty is throwing the heck out of it right now.
So 62 strikeouts and 31 1/3.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
Like, folks, if you haven't seen him, you gotta find him wherever you find your highlights. He is outrageous. He's got not Jacob deGrom this year hair, Jacob deGrom last year and the year before hair, and all you see is hair and arms and legs, and then the batter sits back down in the dugout again. It's over.
Yeah, hitters don't see much.
And he's coming in. He's not the closer, but he's coming in like the old school closers in the 70s used to. You know, 1 out in the 7th, and then he just pitches the last 2 2/3.
Yeah, whatever it takes to finish the game, because doesn't make any difference who he's pitching against, lefties or righties. He's mowing them down.
Two and 2 on Morales with the shift on for the Red Sox. 1 down here in the 6th inning. And a high drive to deep center field. Bradley is racing back to the triangle. He caught it. Jackie Bradley Jr. with an extraordinary grab 420 feet away.
I know it's a stretch, but that looks like Willie Mays catching the Vic Wertz catch in the World Series. I mean, he turned and put his head down and ran to the triangle. Watch his actions in center field. He's going to turn on contact, and he knows he's got room in that triangle. He turned his back to the infield and catches it just before he hits the wall. That's a terrific catch by Jackie Bradley Jr., who's had all kinds of problems at the plate, but he never carries those issues with him out to the field. I mean, that is a Willie Mays-esque catch for sure, with his back to the infield over his shoulder just before it hits up against the center field fence. Brock Holt comes all the way over from right field.
Tell you, Heath Hembry's going to give him a hug before he gets one step down to the dugout. He had to adjust his angle at the last second too, and that's just a great play.
The relievers out in that bullpen were pounding on the fence, acknowledging a terrific effort.
And the Red Sox have played some really good defense today. Remember, Price knocked down a rocket off the bat of Solarte in the first, made the play. Holt made a diving catch in right center in the fifth, and now the best of the bunch provided by Bradley.
When Mookie Betts is in right field, this is the best outfield in baseball. They have 3 players that can all play center field. They all throw well, they cover ground well, and they work very well together. Rarely do you see them get their wires crossed in the outfield.
Breaking ball to get Maley, and that's all for the Blue Jays in the top of the 6th. A couple of strikeouts and one of the better catches that we have seen this season, thanks to Jackie Bradley Jr. Morales hit it a ton, but Bradley ran it down. Fielders in all of baseball. Got a great jump, got some speed, and he went a long way to catch this ball.
Well, he sure did. He covered 116 feet to make that catch. His sprint speed 17.6 feet per second, and I'll tell you what, he was flying, and he knew immediately. The biggest thing was how quickly he turned and ran to that triangle. He knew exactly where he was going. Aaron Sanchez is out of the game. 82 pitches, 5 innings. He gives up 7 runs on 9 hits. He only walked 1, and he gave up a long home run to Andrew Benintendi and to J.D. Martinez.
So it's Danny Barnes on in relief for the Blue Jays here in the bottom of the 6th. 21st appearance of the season for Barnes. Christian Vasquez leads it off for the Red Sox, their catcher. He's flied out and singled and scored. Well, if you're Pete Walker right now, where do you turn with Aaron Sanchez? What do you see, and how do you try to turn this around?
Yeah, I think they've been going through this drill, going all the way back to spring training, because they were trying to build him up from last season. And Pete, Dane Johnson, and Aaron, they've all worked hard to try to get to the root of the problem. But you know what? It seems as though when he misses right out over the plate, and then the ball's squared up, and the home runs come. And that pitch that he threw to Benintendi with 2 aboard, just kind of out over the plate, kind of nowhere. And you talked about the difference between his 2-seam fastball this year and in 2016. I think the movement in 2016 was more down. the sinker was going straight down. I think now it's going a little bit sideways, and I think that's staying along the plane of the bat. Because of that, he's been hit around a bit. Left-handers have really given him a problem.
The walks weren't a problem today. He only walked one. It wasn't like he was 2-0, 3-1 on everybody today. He just got hit today. And there were some hard hit balls. There were a couple of plays behind him that weren't made that could have made the line a little bit better. There's Bradley, 1 for 2. He's lined out and had an RBI double. So he's had a good day at the plate and in the field.
Let me say something about that statement you made about the plays not being made. Yeah, and it's not an excuse for Aaron, but it changes your mindset as a pitcher. When you get a ground ball and you expect a double play, now you're thinking, well, I got to make a better pitch. And when you try to make a better pitch, things go south on you quickly. I think that was a problem early in the game. He had a couple of situations, even the first run that scored in the first inning, a fielder's choice, it looked like it could be a double play. And then they had the cross up and the pass ball in the fourth inning that was part of that 5-run fourth inning. So there were a few plays today that went sideways for the team. And that's been the way things have gone in this month of May.
And if you're just joining us, the other bit of bad news today is that Josh Donaldson left the game with an as yet undisclosed injury. Impossible for us to tell what it was. Looked like whatever it is, he either suffered it or it got worse as he was rounding second and going to third on a double by Smoke. And Donaldson didn't try to argue to stay in the game. He came out almost immediately.
Save big at the outdoor living event at Home Hardware on from May 16th to June 5th. Here's how.
Welcome back to Boston. One of the most beautiful cities, I think, on the tour. I think you would agree, Buck. Just an absolutely great place to come, whether you got a day game or a night game. Great walking city, great history here.
It's a terrific city, and it's certainly a great ballpark. You talk about the fans that come here. We have a lot of Blue Jay fans that make their way to Fenway Park every season. And I think it's a combination of things. It's a great city to visit to begin with, and now you get to see your ball club play in a beautiful ballpark.
It's a bucket list kind of spot, that's for sure. Runner is going. Throw down is sailing into center field. Bailey will be charged with an error. Bradley with a stolen base, and he'll take third on the throwing error.
Fourth error of the season charged to the Blue Jays catcher, and I think he kind of panicked. He saw what a great jump Bradley had at first base and rushed to throw. And when you rush to throw, you have a tendency to sail on you. Pitch was a little bit to the outside part of the plate, and look at the jump at first. I mean, Barnes never even stopped Bradley, and Bailey airmails second base, throws it all the way into center field. And speaking from experience, when you see a jump like that, you have a tendency to rush your throw, and when you rush anything, you're going to have problems.
So the Blue Jays are forced to bring the infield in now. 0-2 on Benintendi. And he gets a ball in the air down the left field line. Martin back into the corner, has to turn and play it off the monster. And now has to chase it back in towards the infield. Benintendi's on his way to third.
Boy, what a terrific young player Andrew Benintendi is. And we talked about how well suited he is to hit in this ballpark, and there's another great example. Russell Martin, playing in his first game in left field, gets in that no man's land of not being far enough away from the carom of this ball, and bounces over his head, and then it's a foot race between Benintendi and Martin. Benintendi's headed for third. Martin's trying to run down that ball as it's headed back toward the infield, and Benintendi will end up at third with the triple. It's his fifth triple of the season.
And his fourth RBI of the afternoon, and now the infield remains in as Bogarts comes up. Shallow fly ball right center, caught by Pilar. And Benintendi diving back into third base. 2 down.
Pilar set up very well on that ball. One hit that deep, and Bogarts looking back just to make sure that That wasn't deep, but he had no chance to advance Benintendi from third. He tagged and broke for home, all the while keeping his eye on the flight of the ball. And he saw it was on line, saw it was a ball that Smoke could cut, so he had to hold at third.
So 2 down, and the infield can back up now as Mitch Moreland comes up. First baseman is 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Shift on, and Urshela is way off the line, way away from the bag at third. So Benintendi can get way down the line if he wants. There's ball 1, and that's something that Maley's got to be aware of, because even a pitch that bounces 6-8 feet away from him, Benintendi could make a dash for the plate. Fly ball to right field. And the catch made by Hernandez to end the bottom of the 6th. Another run for the Red Sox, though. They now lead 8-2. Conversation as Martin got his first real opportunity to play a ball off the monster, bounced by him back in towards the infield and got an extra base, turned into a triple for Benintendi. It's been a frustrating day top to bottom for this team today. There's no way to look at it any other way.
No, it sure has, and you can see the clear separation of talent between the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. There's no question about that. And the Red Sox have taken advantage of every opportunity the Blue Jays have given them today. Balls that haven't been turned into double plays, pass ball off the glove of Maley, a throwing error, and they've made the most of all these opportunities.
Devin Travis leading off the 7th. We have not received any report, as far as I'm aware, on the nature of the injury to Josh Donaldson that forced him to leave the game. Obviously, if we get the information, we'll pass it along right away. I haven't heard anything, and I don't see anything online. Travis today has struck out and lined out to center. Keith Hembry in his 2nd inning of work out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. Meanwhile, in the bullpen, it's John Axford. After Travis, back to the top of the order, Teoscar Hernandez and then Gio Urshela, who's now batting in Donaldson's spot. Houston's up on the Yankees 4-0 in the 7th in the Bronx. Detroit's got a 5-0 lead on the Angels this afternoon. Again, a lot of day game action. Memorial Day here in the U.S. The Blue Jays will see the Tigers on the next leg of this road trip. Well, Travis has been hitting the ball to right field all day, and he's finally rewarded with a fair ball down in the corner. And he's got a chance to round second. He's going to get into third, standing up with a triple.
That's exactly the ball we had talked about earlier in talking about how difficult this right field can be for defenders. That ball down the line that gets past the outfielder. Brock Holt, making his first start of the season in right field for Boston, comes over, tries to cut it off, and once it gets past him, it's going to carry him off that wall and just continue to go away from Brock Holt. All the while, Travis is running around the bases and ends up at third with his second triple of the season.
So now Teoscar Hernandez, the Red Sox with the infield back. They will concede a run to get it out here with a big 8-2 lead in the 7th. Teoscar's 0 for 3, a pop up and a couple of fly balls. And obviously not ideally suited to be the leadoff hitter in a lineup, but that's what he is at times against lefties. Steve Pearce had been leading off. Pearce a more selective batter than Hernandez is. He'd have been leading off against lefties. I think ideally, if you've got a good lineup and everybody's healthy, Teoscar probably down in like a 6th spot or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's where he'd be best suited. But he has hit leadoff, he's hit 4th, and the Blue Jays haven't had a prototypical cleanup hitter all year long. And Ever Solarte has hit cleanup a lot for this team. I think that's led to a lot of the smoke walks.
And if they lose Donaldson, and again, we don't know exactly what it is, if they lose him, that's going to force some juggling up at the top part of the lineup again. Fly ball deep right center. Bradley racing back again. He's not going to get this one. It's off the top of the wall and out of play, I think. So, yeah, Hernandez will have to go back to second. Travels to score on the ground rule double. And Luis Rivera is saying it hit the top of the wall and stayed in play. But I think Hernandez will be sent back to second. The umpires are now conferring to decide whether or not that ball left the field of play.
Jerry Davis, the crew chief, is at second base, and he made the call initially that the ball was touched by a fan. Then he called Vic Carapazza over from first. Now the umpires are going to talk about this. To me, this ball doesn't go out of play over the center field fence, but it does once it caroms off the top of that fence. It's still in play there, but it's still in play. Nobody touched it. Yeah, nobody touched it. So I think they can look at that one. It looked like that fan there was going to touch it, but he pulls his hands back, and that is in play. There is no reason to call a ground rule double for that. I think they're going to have to look at it.
I think they're telling the Red Sox dugout it's a triple.
That's exactly what happened, and they're going to give him third base. And good on the umpires for converging. I think Vic Carapazza is the one that made the decision. Jerry Lane initially called it a ground rule double, the crew chief, but then he came over and talked to Carapazza, who may have had a better angle looking at that ball from first base. Because once the batter runner, Hernandez, gets past first base, Carapazza can focus on that ball in the outfield.
So back-to-back triples for the Blue Jays make it 8-3. Infield still back, and here's Urshela. Urshela coming on as a pinch runner when Donaldson left the game back in the 5th inning with an undisclosed injury. Activity now with the Red Sox bullpen. Right-hander Matt Barnes.
Yeah, they've got a good bullpen. We've talked about that in the past. The Red Sox bullpen, second best ERA in the American League. They have allowed the second fewest home runs, so you don't have the ability to stack up a bunch of runs against their bullpen because they don't give up many home runs. And they're first in saves. They're tied with 19 saves for first place. Foul tip.
And he is out.
Yeah, you could hear the ball hit the bat on that check swing by Urshela. And the umpire called it quickly as Vasquez also confirmed it. It's a check swing. And you can see the umpire indicating foul tip.
So that's the first out, and that'll bring up Justin Smoke with a chance to drive in a run if he can hit a ground ball to the right side. Smoke is 1 for 3, doubled his last time on. Runner at third, Hernandez, 8-3 the score now. You know, Buck, we mentioned that Houston Yankees game, the opening game of a big series. Houston's up 4-0. And you know who's getting it done on the mound for the Astros again?
None other than Justin Verlander. 3 hits, 6 innings, no runs, 4 strikeouts, and his ERA has dropped down to 1.00. What a year he's having. What a year they're having.
35-year-old.
That whole rotation for Houston is just on a record-setting pace. When you look at what they have done as a team, their pitching is ridiculous. Verlander, Morton, Cole, 1, 2, 3 in the American League ERA rankings.
And Buck, we have the official word on Donaldson. He left the game with left calf tightness. So he's had calf problems before. I think it was the right calf, though, that was the larger problem last year, but he's being evaluated by Blue Jays medical staff, and more information to follow probably at some point later on today.
Yeah, obviously he felt it running from first to third on the Smoke double. Well, that's not good news because it's an injury he has had to deal with in the past. And if it's a recurrence of the same injury, that's not good news at all.
Three and 0 on Smoke. And the ball's in for ball 4. Let's get an update with Jamie. You know how, Buck, every baseball fan's got guys they just really like watching play and really like following. Christian Yelich, for me, is one of those guys. He's just a terrific player.
And I know why you like him, because he looks like Sean Green.
I don't think that's so.
And he's the same type of
He's got
hitter.
the same kind of he's got the same kind of swing.
He's the same type of player.
Yeah, build. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I know Sean Green was always one of your favorites, but Christian Yeltsin's a good player. He's a very good player. They have a good team.
Yeah,
they're not getting the credit they deserve for having a good team.
He's going to win a batting title.
Yeah,
he really is. He's
I think they've got
player.
a good manager too. I think Craig Counsell does a nice job. And you remember a couple of weeks ago, maybe not even that long ago, where he saved his reliever from getting ejected when he bolted out of the dugout in the 9th inning on a strike call and got thrown out himself.
They were busy in the offseason, and it's paying off so far here in 2018 for the Milwaukee Brewers. Yangervis Solarte. A swing at the bat could make this one a whole lot more interesting. Matt Barnes ready if needed in the Red Sox pen. First and third, 1 out for the Blue Jays. Back-to-back triples by Travis and Hernandez to open up the inning, make it 8-3. Smoke walked after the Urshela strikeout. And now Solarte, who has grounded out, popped up, and had a sac fly. Ground ball to first. And the Red Sox will turn the double play. So that's all for the Blue Jays. What looked like it might have been a promising inning to get more. They end up only getting one. 7th inning stretch, 8-3. reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Russell Martin making his major league debut in left field today. Blue Jays as a whole not having a good afternoon. They're down 8-3, bottom 7. John Axford into the game.
Danny Barnes pitches 1 inning. He worked the 6th. Now John Axford will come out, and he's going to try to get back on track a bit. He's had a couple of rough outings of late. Overall, he's had a decent season. This is his 23rd appearance of the season, and Axford, his last appearance was on the homestand against the Angels. Pitched an inning, gave up a hit, and a run, struck out 2. He struck out at least 1 batter in 17 of those 22 outings this season. And he's had a consistent fastball all season long. If there has been a problem, it's been the fact that he hasn't had the ability to throw it in the strike zone consistently. But it's been 95 and 96 time and time again this year.
First batter he'll face is J.D. Martinez, the designated hitter for the Red Sox, who was 1 for 3, hit a home run his last time up, his 17th on the season. He's among league leaders in both home runs and RBIs. Pretty nice double play started by Mitch Moreland, who had the top half of the 7th inning. Blue Jays look like they might be able to get some things done and get back into the game, execute a little bit more, but started a nifty double play to end it right there.
Yeah, and he made a quick decision and said, okay, I got time to make this double play. 3-6-3 double play. You don't see it that often, but Solarte was running from home plate, and Moreland's a Gold Glover. He won a Gold Glove in 2016, and he made a nice play to end the inning and save a run.
Green light. It's fouled off.
Yeah, there was a time in baseball if you had a 5-run lead late in the game and a hitter swung at a 3-0 pitch, you might get knocked down on the next one, but not anymore. Teams are so capable of scoring runs in bunches that everybody just kind of says, okay, that's part of the game the way we play nowadays.
Chased the ball low, and it's a full count. That got a piece of Maley.
Luke's had a rough day. He was charged with a pass ball early in the day when he and Sanchez got their signs crossed. Then he made a errant throw into center field, picking up his 4th error, and now he takes a ball off his toe on the foul tip.
And that's ball 4, down and away. Jamie Campbell's got an update. All right, Jamie, thank you. Yeah, Boyd has definitely taken a big step forward this year. His ERA last year was 5.27. He's got it down around 3 right now with the work that he's done today.
Now, he was one of the 3 left-handers the Blue Jays traded in exchange for David Price.
Yep.
And everybody thought that the top prospect was Daniel Norris, but he hasn't panned out as they expected or hoped in Detroit. And Jairo Laborde was the other lefty, a minor league pitcher. But Matt Boyd has made some nice adjustments.
Leadoff walk to J.D. Martinez. Rafael Devers, the young third baseman, is the batter.
We will see Boyd when we go to Detroit. He'll start a game against the Blue Jays.
Devers just 21 years of age. And there's a base hit off the glove of Smoke. And just a base hit. I almost spoke too soon as he beats it out. Travis made a good play to make that close at first.
Well, everybody reacted perfectly. The batter never gave up on it. He busted it out of the box. Travis saw the carom off Smoke's glove. Smoke went back to the bag to cover, sensing that Travis was going to make a play. But everybody reacts properly. Devers never hesitated. He's busted it out of the box. Devin stays with it, made it awfully close at first. Once it goes off Smoke's glove, the only place he could go is back to the bag in the hopes that there will be a play at first, and there is, but it's not in time.
So first and second with nobody out as the Red Sox look to tack on a little insurance, already up 8-3. Batter is the second baseman Eduardo Nunez, 1 for 3. And Dustin Pedroia is back from knee surgery. He's on the roster. He's played a couple of games, but he's not in the lineup today. But Nunez figures to go into more of a utility role. You can put him at third. You can put him in the outfield if you need to. He's got a little pop, got a little speed. And with guys like Brock Holt on the bench when Mookie Betts is in the game. Guys like Brock Holt and Eduardo Nunez. Just those two guys alone give you so many options if you're Alex Cora. Ground ball to short. To second one, on to first. Double play.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Here in Boston, Dan Shulman to Buck Martinez, Hazel May, opening game of 3. Blue Jays and Red Sox. Runner with third, 2 down. Here in the bottom of the 7th. Second game of the series comes your way tomorrow night with Marco Estrada facing Rick Porcello. And then a day game Wednesday, Sam Gaviglio will be on the mound for the Blue Jays, 2-0 with a 2.30 ERA against left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez.
Yeah, Sam Gaviglio pitched a heck of a game on Friday night in Philadelphia to open up that series against the Phillies. And what he did is he's done it in both of his starts. He threw a lot of strikes with all of his pitches.
Brock Holt is the batter. Holt has walked, had a sac fly, and grounded out. And Stephen Wright is up in the bullpen right now for the Red Sox, a former starter for them. Three and 0. Meanwhile, Jake Petrichka now up in the Blue Jays pen.
It's been a little bit of a rough stretch for John Axford over his last 4 outings coming into this game. He's been hit hard. He's given up 8 hits in 2 1/3. And that has led to 7 earned runs.
Velocity is about the same as it's been all season, 95, 96 with a fastball.
Yeah, he got off to a great start, and he made a spot on this roster because he had a good spring. I think he caught everybody off guard with his velocity and his movement. Had a terrific fastball.
Second walk of the inning. John Gibbons Blue Jays coming off taking 2 out of 3 at Philadelphia. Came into Boston feeling pretty good about themselves. But this has been one of those days. Not only on the wrong end of the scoreboard, Buck, but just some sloppy looking baseball out there at times.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it doesn't really reflect on the scoreboard. They've been charged with 1 error. That was the throwing error by Luke Maley, the catcher. But it's been a very poor performance all afternoon. This is the first time the Blue Jays have been here this season. Red Sox made 2 trips to Rogers Center before the Blue Jays came here. And as far as I can remember, this is about as late as the Blue Jays have made their first trip into Fenway during the regular season. And at the end of May.
Up and in, and Axford really fighting for his command right now as he falls behind 2-0 to Vasquez after already issuing a couple of walks here this inning. Vasquez fighting to get his average up and over 200. Skibby looks like he might have been on the phone, maybe checking on Petrichka down there. Obviously, he doesn't want to have to use Tepera or O or presumably Clippard in a game like this with another game tomorrow. He bypassed Biagini to go to more of the one-inning guys in Barnes and now Axford with Petrichka.
And Biagini pitched on Saturday, but he only threw 7 pitches, 2/3 of innings. Gave up that pinch hit home run to Nick Williams, the decisive run in that 2-1 loss.
Runner goes from first, and the pitch is swung on and sent in the air to right field. Hernandez is there, and that's it for the Red Sox. End of 7. Boston leading 8-3.
For your Toronto Blue Jays. Come visit us at the Toronto Eaton Center, Rogers Center Gates 1 and 5, and every in-stadium kiosk. For more information, visit jshop.ca or call 1-877-JSHOP. And in case you missed it earlier, Josh Donaldson leaving the ball game in the 5th inning. He was later diagnosed with the left calf tightness, and it was currently being evaluated by the medical staff. So no Josh Donaldson. Gio Urshela now playing third base. Left calf tightness for Josh Donaldson. Dan.
Thank you, Hazel. Top 8, 8-3. The Red Sox lead the Blue Jays, and the new pitcher for Boston is right-hander Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright began the season on the DL, coming back from left knee surgery. That was back in May of 2017. He rehabbed in Pawtucket, made 2 starts there. And then when he was reinstated from the DL on the 28th of April, he was placed on the restricted list. Some off-field issues, and he was restricted for the first 15 games. And he is activated. Knuckleballer, former starter. And he comes into the game from the bullpen. He brings his knuckleball glove with him and hands it off to the catcher.
And the 15-game suspension was after Wright was arrested at his home in the offseason on misdemeanor charges of domestic assault. And this is part of the same situation that it certainly appears Roberto Osuna is going to deal with. Just talking from a baseball perspective now, not a a legal perspective, under MLB's domestic violence policy, baseball has the right to impose its own punishment irrespective of whatever happens legally. And Osuna's case, I believe, Buck, is the first one where the alleged transgression, as Pilar strikes out, has happened during the season. Jose Reyes, Stephen Wright, Aroldis Chapman, and there have been others, all happened in the offseason. And in many cases, the legal proceedings either ran their course or charges were dropped for whatever reason before the season began. Osuna keeps having this administrative leave extended, presumably because baseball is either still gathering information or waiting to see what happens in the courts.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for everybody involved that it's taken so long to come to a resolution. But obviously it's very serious, and they make sure they do everything properly.
Yep. And obviously the legal proceedings and the well-being of the victim far supersede the baseball implications of Osuna or any of these situations. Right at one point in the rotation, and had kind of a dazzling stretch a couple of years ago with that knuckleball where he was pitching really, really well, but has had injuries, and then the legal situation since, as we mentioned, is Martin chops one to third, and Devers will get him 2 down.
It's time to fire up your senses. Your best experience begins with Broil King, available at your local home hardware. Here's how.
Blue Jays batting here in the 8th inning at Fenway Park in Boston. Kind of a cloudy afternoon most of the day. The lights have been on throughout the afternoon. The Red Sox on the strength of a 5-run 4th inning. The big hit being a 3-run homer by Andrew Benintendi, leading the Blue Jays 8-3. Aaron Sanchez went 5 today, gave up 7 runs, all earned on 9 hits. Walked 1, struck out 4. Hendrys Morales 1 for 3, hit an RBI single back in the 4th, and now grounds one into the shift. It'll be Bogarts at short to make the play, and the Blue Jays go 1, 2, 3. It's time now for another Blue Jays Central update. Jamie Campbell and Kevin Barker are in the Samsung broadcast studio. Capturing the moment at what perhaps is their first visit to this ballpark. The Sweet Carolinas, is always the case, between the top of the 8th and the bottom of the 8th here in Boston. 8-3. The Red Sox are on top right now.
Interesting that that has been a tradition for quite a while here at Fenway Park. In the bottom of the 8th inning. It all started because one of the workers in the scoreboard video room had a baby named Caroline, and they started singing that. Jake Petrichka has not pitched since Wednesday on that homestand against the Angels. He came into that ball game in that 4-run ninth inning and was able to get the final 2 outs of that game. He did not pitch in the series in Philadelphia.
Jackie Bradley Jr. leads it off for Boston. Charging Devin Travis and throws him out 1 down. Drive of the game brought to you by the new 2018 Civic Si. When it leads off, it leads for good.
Well, Andrew Benintendi has had some day. He had a single in the 3rd. He was 1 for 2 at that point. Then he stepped to the plate in the 4th inning with a couple aboard and takes it in opposite field. The home run, a 3-run homer. It was his 2nd hit of the afternoon. He'd cap it off with an RBI triple in the 6th. He is a double shy of the cycle. Benintendi, his 7th home run of the season. He's driven in 4. He now has driven in 37 for the season.
Down and in, a ball and a strike.
Wouldn't you know, Brock Holt was the last Red Sox player to hit for the cycle.
Down the left field line, Martin coming over and makes the grab. He's had more action in left field today than he had at shortstop a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he sure has. And you know, he had that one ball that Benintendi hit in the 6th inning that bounced off the wall and bounced over Russell's head. It bounced back toward the infield. Benintendi got to third base before Martin could get the ball back in time.
So 2 down for Xander Bogaerts. He was 1 for 4. Singleton scored the first run of the ball game back in the bottom of the 1st. Ball 2-0 on Bogaerts. Top 9, the Blue Jays will send up Maile, Travis, and Hernandez. 8, 9, and 1 in the lineup. Ground ball to short. Big hop for Solarte, and Petrichka takes care of the Red Sox in order. We go to the 9th at Fenway. Red Sox 8 and the Blue Jays 3.
Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's the best time to find a Honda you'll love.
Top of the 9th here at Fenway Park. Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez, Hazel May, Red Sox 8 and the Blue Jays 3. Luke Mailey's going to lead it off. For the Blue Jays, Stephen Wright back out for his 2nd inning of work. If it holds up, David Price would pick up a win here today. Go to 5-4 on the season. Chopper towards third. And Devers with time. 1 pitch, 1 down.
Now, Price would also improve to 19-3 for his career against the Blue Jays, and Blue Jays just haven't been able to solve David Price at all. So best winning percentage against the Blue Jays, and it's the most wins Price has had against any club. His second most wins. He had 15 wins against the Yankees to this point, but he has dominated the Blue Jays.
Devin Travis, the batter now. Last time up, he tripled and scored on the triple by Teoscar Hernandez. The last time the Blue Jays had back-to-back triples, July 27th, 2012, when Brett Laurie and Omar Vizquel did it against the Tigers. Ground ball to short, just like that. 2 down.
Stephen Wright's a nice piece to have down in your bullpen for games just like this. A guy that has been a former starter. He throws a knuckleball, throws a lot of strikes, and he has got 4 ground ball outs and a strikeout in an inning and 2/3. You save all those other guys for much closer situations, but they're invaluable, and there aren't that many long men, if you will, like Stephen Wright around the game anymore. Most relievers have been 1 inning specialists, and I think it's a lost art. It's really an asset for a team.
2 down. Here's Teoscar Hernandez, and he lines a ball to left center field. His second hit of the game. Bradley has it scoot under his glove to the wall, and that will in part allow Hernandez to get into second base. He may have been headed there anyways, but he's there one way or another with 2 down here in the 9th inning.
He had a triple his last at bat. Now he has a double. Jackie Bradley Jr. trying to cut it off, but we mentioned how well these guys played together. The outfielders for the Red Sox, they're there to back each other up, and once the ball goes past Bradley, there's Benintendi to play it off the wall and make sure that Hernandez doesn't go any farther beyond second base. He's probably going to get second anyway.
And as you said, he is credited with a double, so a 2 extra base hit day for Teoscar Hernandez. Probably the best bit of news for the Blue Jays, the way he swung the bat today. Could have had a 3rd hit had Holt not made a nice diving catch. Gio Urshela, who came on back in the 5th inning when Josh Donaldson left with what was later announced as left calf tightness. Further evaluation coming. And now the Blue Jays down to their final strike. And they're getting on their feet here at Fenway for their first place Boston Red Sox. Down the right field line, that is a foul ball.
Red Sox are a tough team in this ballpark, and they always have been. This year they have a 17-8 record, about to go to 18-8. But Alex scored in his first season. Start of play, they have a 1-game lead over the Yankees.
And the Yankees trailing Houston 5-1 in the 8th inning, so that's got a good chance to go to 2. Right, ready to deal again. Up and away with that knuckler. Not as many knuckleballers around either as there used to be. Used to have 2, 3. You had the Negro brothers, of course. You always had a couple of starters who were
Candiotti, Wakefield here for so many years.
Yep.
It's a difficult pitch to master. Of course, R.A. Dickey, who pitched so well for the Blue Jays, no longer playing. Takes a while for anybody to master it. That's why you haven't seen many of them.
The 2-2. And he got him with a knuckleball. And the Red Sox win it. They take the opener of the series 8-3. Andrew Benintendi had himself an afternoon. 3 hits and 4 RBIs. Pretty good effort from David Price. The bullpen does its job. JD Martinez, it's his 17th home run of the season, and the Blue Jays fall to 4 games under 500.
Yeah, this is a good balanced attack they feature here in Boston, and the highlight today was Andrew Benintendi. He had 3 hits, a 3-run homer, and RBI triple. Finished a double short of the cycle, and just